Alright, for today's video, movie review, we're going to do Tusk, written and directed by Kevin Smith. Now, I know that Tusk gets a lot of hate, and that's because nobody could have ever expected or asked for the movie that this movie is, unless you listen to Kevin Smith's podcast, which I did and still do. Always been a big Kevin Smith fan. And because I listened to his podcast, I knew exactly the movie I was getting. I've heard how he came up with it and how it got to what it became. So, and if you go to the special features, I believe you can hear the podcast where the idea first was birthed. It came from a newspaper article that Kevin Smith read on his podcast about a guy who put an ad in the paper wanting a roommate, but the roommate don't have to pay rent. He just has to dress like a walrus for 1 hour a day, only make walrus noises for that hour, and the old man that owns the house would throw him fish. That's the only thing he had to do to pay rent. Kevin Smith heard this and started thinking how that could be a horror movie. And it started out so he'd have the old man put the ad in the paper, the dude shows up, but the old man turns the dude into a walrus, like, for good. And he was like, in the movie, he'll never leave the house. He's like, in all the horror movies, you gotta leave the house and have the people looking for him. We're gonna stay in the house. Well, if you've seen Tusk, you know that's not the finished product. And in the podcast, you heard the evolution of how it got there. Eventually, he realized, okay, we gotta have people looking for the guy. So you sympathize more with the victim. So when I went in to see Tusk, I knew pretty much exactly the movie I was getting. And being a huge Kevin Smith fan, there's not really much the guy could do that I wouldn't enjoy. And not only that, like I said, when I went into Tusk, I got what I expected. So, also, okay, this film stars Michael Parks, Justin Long, Haley Joel Osment, and Genesis Rodriguez. Of course, written and directed by Kevin Smith. I'm a big Kevin Smith fan. I'm a big Michael Parks fan. Love Michael Parks. Would watch anything I can get my hands on with him in it. So I was in for this movie. But basically, the plot of this movie is Justin Long does a podcast with Haley Joel Osment, but Haley Joel Osment doesn't fly. And the whole purpose of this podcast is Justin Long will go and interview somebody interesting, come back, tell Haley Joel Osment about it, and they make it funny. And it's called the Nazi Podcast, which sounds like Nazi. So that causes confusions later. So Justin Long goes to Canada to interview someone called the Kill Bill Kid, who accidentally cut his leg off with a sword. But when he gets there, they're having a funeral for Kill Bill Kid. He killed himself because everybody was making fun of him. So Justin Long's like, I'm in Canada, I don't have anybody to interview. And he sees on this board in a bar, a man looking for a roommate, has lived a long life, has a bunch of stories he wants to tell. Justin Long needs a good story for his podcast, so he goes to the mansion and meets Michael Parks, who is the old man. So Michael Parks is sitting there already telling him stories, and they're drinking tea. And of course, Michael Parks has drugged the tea. Justin Long passes out, wakes up, and he's missing a leg. So Michael Parks tells him, a brown recluse bit you and you passed out, and the doctor came and you had to lose a leg. Ridiculous. Justin Long's freaking out because he knows it's ridiculous. But what can he do? He's in a wheelchair. He's still got some drugs that Michael Parks gave him where he's completely paralyzed, can't do anything. So, back where Justin Long lives, his buddy's been sleeping with his girlfriend, but Justin Long's been cheating on her too. But they start getting worried and they go looking for him. And they come to Canada because that's where he last was. And so we get involved with the police. And then Johnny Depp shows up in all these prosthetics. At first you're like, is that Johnny Depp? And you're like, holy crap, that is Johnny Depp. And he plays this really goofy French-Canadian detective, Guy Lapointe. So he's looking for Justin Long. And he's also looking for Michael Parks. And he knows that Michael Parks is a dude because he spoke to him once. And he just has a feeling that was the guy. So, just so you're not caught off guard, I don't want to spoil everything. But just know going in, Justin Long, before the end of this movie, he will be a walrus. Okay? Just know that. Expect that. And go with the goofiness of it. Even though it's horror, even though I love Michael Parks and his performance, just know it's goofy even though it's horror. And I think you'll be okay, as long as you expect that. Expect that before the end of the movie you will see a person become a walrus and you will get silliness all around. Mostly from Johnny Depp. And mostly from a guy wanting another guy to be a walrus. But there's a reason Michael Parks gives a story. He was stranded. He was like in the military, a boat sunk or something, he got stranded. And he made friends with a walrus he named Tusk. That's where the name of the movie comes from. And right like the day before he gets rescued, he killed and ate his buddy Tusk. So now he's kidnapping humans and making them into his buddy Tusk. So, that's the movie. Now you know what to expect. So now you can go in and not be shocked and be like, this came out of left field. Now you know. But give it a watch. I mean, I think it's awesome. But I think Kevin Smith is awesome. So I don't know. I might be biased. I might be. I admit it. But I still think everybody should watch it. Maybe not everybody. Don't make your grandma watch this movie. Unless she's my grandma. My grandma's crazy. She'd probably love this movie. But if you have a normal granny that sings hymns and don't watch anything weird, don't put her through this. But make your friends watch it. In fact, watch it as a group of friends. That'll be the funnest because you can laugh at how absurd it all is. I'm not going to give this movie a star rating because I'm super biased because it's Kevin Smith. All I can say is I do recommend it. I do. Because if I were to give it stars, I'd give it 5. Because I don't think I would give anything Kevin Smith done less than 5. Just because I like the dude that much. He's pretty genuine. So that's my review of Tusk. Thank you for tuning in. Please like, comment, and share. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Be back tomorrow with 2 more videos. Thank you.